Hey guys, you can see my blanket in the back. Oh. Hey guys, it's Kells here today, and I'm back at it again with another video. And you know, I had to come with my little Ghana print head wrap, because we're about to get into this Black Panther review, particularly talking about the relationships and the diversity of the Black experience in the movie. Yes, I always have to come on my little edge, my little way of talking about things. So come on in, come on in. You guys know the deal. You guys know the deal. When you come on in, announce yourself in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from, where you're at right now, and what you're sipping on. Yes, tonight, of course, I'm sipping on some green tea tonight. So I got on so many colors in this. I got my hair wrap and the black, and the red, and everything going on tonight. But I'm super, super excited because we're getting into this Black Panther tonight. Now, come on in, come on in. Announce yourself in the comments. Now, if you haven't seen Black Panther, as I said, like you are totally sleep. Like you totally sleep. I don't know what you're doing. You have to go and see that movie if you haven't seen it. It is like literally like it's almost life changing. It's almost life changing. And tonight we're gonna get into it a little bit. We're gonna talk about, just the movie and the relationships in the movie and kind of the parallels between Black Panther and what I try to do here on this channel. Hello, this. Ooh, I cannot. Miss Gonzalez. I cannot pronounce your first name. Airborne Eclipse, what's up? Hey Tina, what's up, girl? Come on in. Smash that like button for me. Announce yourself. Where are you guys watching from tonight? Ants, what are you sipping on tonight? Tonight, you can see I am sipping on some green tea. Let me know what you guys are sipping on. And we're about to get into this Black Panther. Hello, Thesuis. Thesuis, checking in from Tampa. I hope I pronounced that right. I don't know if I did. All right. ATL in the building. All right. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background about the Kells Collective and Kells if this is your first time here. While we wait for a few more people to join us, I suspect that a lot of people are going to be out tonight actually watching Black Panther, which is great because tomorrow they'll be able to watch this broadcast and this kind of commentary on the relationships in Black Panther. If you have seen the movie already, jump in the comments and let me know that you've seen it. You really need to see that movie if you haven't seen it. So if you've seen it, jump in the comments and let me know you've seen it so you guys could chime in and help me with some of the commentary because I was sipping on some extra sweet iced tea. Yes, girl. So let me know if you've seen Black Panther. Jump in the comments and let me know. You synced it. DB said he synced it. MG, Mark, that's probably MJG. Hey, Kells, I saw Black Panther over President's Weekend. Yes. Tina said, yes, seen it twice. I need to see it again because I only saw it once. But I'm definitely going to go back and see it. I want to see it in 3D. I saw it in IMAX 2D, but Airborne Eclipse, you need to see that movie. I'm not even gassing you. I'm not even gassing you. Like it is literally right now, I think the movie is at $400 million globally. $400 million globally, and it took 200 million to make. Okay, so we're not gassing you. It's legit adult movie. Um, all right, so let me know if you've seen it. And what I'm gonna need for you guys to do is I'm gonna need for you to help me with the commentary on this. As you guys know, this is about a two-way dialogue with the Iskels Collective and learning from the collective wisdom of the community. So I kind of facilitate the initial conversation, and then you guys jump in with your thoughts and your comments and everything like that in the comments. And then after I do my little commentary, I jump into the comments and kind of engage and read you guys' comments so that I can learn from the collective wisdom of the community as well. Yes? Yes. So I think we should go ahead and get started, shall we? We shall. Oh, and if you like my little hair wrap, normally I have my hair down when I have this, but I didn't feel like putting my hair down tonight. Uh, Fuzzy for me, but managing. Oh, is it? Wait a minute. Hold on. Is it fuzzy? Hold on. What do we have to do? Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. Is that a little better? Or is the quality, let me know if the quality, fuzzy. I'm wondering if it's the connection. Hmm. No, not better. Yep, fuzzy here as well. Oh no. Huh. It's probably the connection. No, don't do that. Yes, sir, fuzzy. Oh my gosh, it's fuzzy for a whole bunch of y'all. It's a weak connection. Okay. Needs to be restarted. Ugh, such an annoyance. Um, Cleared up any? Let me see something. Hold on. Let me try something. It just cleared up right here. Much better. Better. Okay, I turned off the Wi-Fi. When I tell you that Comcast literally grinds my gears, I pay them people enough money, and you know that they're, oh, Wakandan people. And I know, you know how much money I pay these people annually, and they can't get my Wi-Fi right. Oh, such an annoyance. What they need, some vibranium, something? What do they need to get the internet right? Like, ugh, okay. All right. So now that we got that all squared away, I'm so glad because I really didn't want to restart. We are gonna get into the commentary on Black Panther. Oh my god, I'm so in love with that movie. Okay, hold on, let me get my notes. It's gonna print too. I'm doing the most because Black Panther was just everything. Okay, so here. All right, so you guys know that this whole Kells collective started out as really, it started out as an experiment, and essentially what I wanted to do was engage more with the community of my subscribers. So essentially, I opened up a Gmail box, itskellscollective@gmail.com, and I asked you guys to write in with your dating drama, your dating tea, your dating questions, commentary, anything you wanted me to talk about on the It's Kells platform. And what I would do is I would read your emails candid off the dome live on air and give you my candid feedback. And not only would you get my feedback, but you would get the feedback of the collective, right? So we're learning from the collective wisdom of the It's Cows community. So we did 2 7-day challenges of that, and they went fabulously, if I do say so myself. You guys really showed up and showed out. A couple of our videos kind of went a little viral. The Meghan Merkel one, Black Women Standards one. A couple of our videos went a little mini viral. And so we're continuing on with the live broadcast. We're not doing the 7-day challenges, but we do go on Fridays, sometimes Saturdays, and sometimes Sundays. Y'all, I be tired over the weekend, but I try to go on at least on Fridays just to make sure that you guys are super duper engaged with the channel. And I really appreciate you guys jumping in the comments, announcing yourself, tell me where you're from, what you're sipping on, and yeah, and helping me talk about Black Panther and the relationships in the movie. Yes, so let's get started. Okay, so you guys know that the main point, one of the main points of this channel is to expand the narrative that is Blackness. So that means that the conversation, the understanding of the Black culture and the Black experience has a tendency to be very narrow, very one-sided, and very only a few themes that are expressed. But this channel is wanting to expand that narrative, expand what it means to be Black, right? I find that, and how I do that is we talk about dating, we talk about standards, we talk about travel, we talk about elevation, we talk about, psychic hygiene, we talk about manifestations, we talk about a lot of different things that people don't necessarily associate with Blackness. And it not because it's not any more or less Black, but that people just have a tendency to really want to associate Blackness with Black struggle, Black pain. And I've said that to you guys before on this channel because I can see it. Some of the videos that I have hundreds of videos on this channel. And the ones that get the most comments and the most views are primarily about Black struggle and Black pain, except for my video where I was talking about dating in London with Florette, Love Florette. But for the most part, the videos that get the most comments and views on my channel are the ones talking about black struggle and black pain. And when I tell you I don't have a lot of those videos, but those are the ones that get the most views and everything, I'm telling you, like, you can see it on in every media outlet. Everything, the things that gets the ratings, the things that people want to talk about and associate with blackness have to do with pain and struggle. And this channel, one of the pillars of this channel is to expand that narrative and to make it clear that there is black glory. There's not one side to being blackness, and to struggle is not innately black. You know what I mean? And so that's why that's one of the undercurrents of the conversations that we have on this channel. And I want you guys to be hyper aware of that. So if you're like, well, I don't understand, why do we always talk about that, or why don't we talk about this? It's because there is enough black pain and black struggle on TV and in the media. And we don't need another one of that. Today I was in Barnes and Noble, and I was looking around random bookstore, right? Like, who even goes to a bookstore anymore? I was at Sephora, and then I went over to, there was a Barnes and Noble, so I went ahead and went over in there, and I was looking at the books and reading, and I saw The Alchemist and all of these new books, and you see some with black covers on it, like with black people on the covers, and there were only 2 books that I saw, and I was in there for a good 30 minutes just perusing the tables at the front with the new books. This is tonight. And there were only 2 books that I saw, The Help and another book, and they both was about blackness in the context of struggle. And I thought to my, and so somebody from the outside could look at it and say, oh, the only thing, oh, and then every other book, the thousands of other books that were in there were about, predominantly about white culture. And so it really illustrated the point that I've tried to make on this channel, oh, tongue tied tonight, channel a lot, is that it would make you think that what to be black is to struggle, to either be the help, like the maid. Remember that book, that story, The Maid, to be the maid in that movie, and the other one was about the title of the other one that I saw at Barnes and Noble tonight was No One's Coming to Help Us. And I was like, you mean to tell me out of the thousands of books that's sitting up here on this table, the 2 black books, one was about the help, being a maid in 1962 Alabama, and the other one was titled No One's Coming to Help Us? Like, why is it that the only things that get pushed out into common, into the collective consciousness has to do with black tied to struggle? You know what I mean? And so it's super, 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 super duper frustrating for me, because I'm hyper aware of it, because it's a pet peeve of mine. It's a pet peeve of mine. And you would think that, oh, okay, blackness only means to struggle, look at the books. But really, mass media really only wants to absorb, who's to say that the publishers don't pick up books about black glory? They only pick up books about black struggle because those are the ones that sell. And that's similar to the concept that, oh, black movies don't sell. Black movies don't sell internationally. Black movies and this and that and that. And look at Black Panther. Look at Black Panther. Not only is Black Panther approaching $400 million globally, it has nothing to do with black struggle. It has nothing to do with black pain. In fact, it is the opposite of that. It has everything to do with black glory. It has everything to do with black girl magic and black boy joy, and just the total opposite of what we have been conditioned to think is the truth of our culture. This channel is not only about blackness. This channel didn't start out as about blackness. This channel simply started out as me moving to London, going to study, and people wanting to know how the dating scene was in London, and then it evolved into travel, and then it's still been in dating, but we're back in the States now. So the dating is not international dating, but it's more domestic dating. And just by the nature of being a black woman on your screen, everything kind of gets in the context of being black. So this channel is not it's not an Afrocentric solely, like Julesie's channel. Julesie's channel is like Smart Brown Girls. This is not an innately, black channel. Like, I'm black, clearly. Hold on, one sec. got to pull my ottoman to get my little foot up. I'm black. And so, obviously we can talk about things in the context of being blackness, but I want, all of my viewers to understand that this channel is not, if you are not black or if you don't identify as black, you are not excluded from this conversation. In fact, you are welcomed in this conversation because I think it's important for you to know as well that there is nothing in struggle that is innately black. There's nothing, in fact, Black Panther, this movie shows you that, in fact, there is a great deal of glory and pride and strength and beauty and sexiness and femininity and masculinity and bravery and diversity in being black. Diversity in being black. Okay, as somebody from the Caribbean, which a lot of people don't know, like as somebody from the Caribbean, I've always known that there is a diversity in being black. Right now we're looking at VH1, Love and Hip Hop Miami, if you watch that kind of, that rag TV, just to like zone out, and you have Amara La Negra, and everyone's like, oh, they're Latin people that speak Spanish that are black. I'm like, what rock have you crawled? What rock have you been living under? Of course, there are black people that speak Spanish, that are Latin black people. In fact, the majority of Latin people are black, but you wouldn't be able to tell that by TV. You would not be able to tell that by TV. Also, there were more Africans dropped off in South America than they were dropped off in the United States during those slavery times. So if you can imagine that. You know what I mean? But you don't really see it on TV because they're hidden under the, they not real Spanish. They black, so they over there. You know what I mean? And so like right now is just an amazing time for the diversity of blackness to be talked about as well. So expanding the narrative that is the black experience, expanding what the understanding of the black experience and just how diverse it actually is the mission of this channel, one of the missions of this channel, and I think one of the key themes in Black Panther. No? Yes. All right. So, okay. So what I think I'm gonna do is I have right in front of me the list of characters. And oh, you guys let me know if the channel's getting grainy because I could fix it also. Let me turn this a little bit. So I have the list of characters on Black Panther. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down the list by character. I don't want to spoil the movie too much because I know there's plenty of full-on reviews on YouTube on here. But I don't necessarily want to spoil it completely for you guys. But I do want to talk about some of the key relationships and just how they play out and how the love between the characters is so beautiful and how it's so beautiful to see intimate black relationships on the big screen, on the silver screen. And I'll say this, the feeling that I get, like right now I'm just like, I feel, I'm a little bit particular about my art. And so I might come off as a little bit weird or a little bit like weirdly passionate about like movies and art and things like that. But art kind of awakens me. It kind of makes me feel an emotion that not a lot of things in this world make me feel. So I was just looking at the screen and I saw it a week ago. I literally saw it. I didn't see it on a Friday. It came out on a Friday. Previews on a Wednesday, Thursday. It came out on a Friday. And then people saw it on Saturday. I saw it on last week, Saturday. So it's literally almost been 1 week for me. And I promise you, I'm like, I gotta see that again. I get even goosebumps even talking about it right now. I gotta see it again. I gotta see it again. Like it filled me up in a way to see, all of that on screen and just to relate to everyone and to see a piece of myself in every single character. To see a piece of yourself in every single character, even the two white characters that were on the screen, you could relate to kind of the sometimes contentious relationship between the main characters and the two white gentlemen that were there as well, and how the awkwardness of those interactions sometimes are very reminiscent of this awkwardness you have in your day-to-day life or at work when you have to talk to people that are a different culture than yours, and maybe you don't even feel like you're speaking the same language. So that was amazing to see, and I keep thinking, my God, I gotta see that movie again. I want to be immersed in that again. I want to have that feeling again. I want to be amazed again. I want to feel how would I describe that? I just want to feel, it's not like pride where, because you feel pride in other instances, but it's just a feeling like an envision, a vision of a greatness that has been taken out of Ryan Coogler, who is the director's mind, and implanted into millions of people's minds. How powerful is that? How powerful is that for your idea, your concept of Black excellence to be financed to the tune of $200 million before marketing, because marketing probably costs another 50 million, but they don't talk about that. But to the tune of, probably, I would say marketing would probably be another, global marketing for that movie probably would be another 50 million, 50 to 100 million. So the movie probably break even at 300 million. I would say around there, 375. That's 275 to 300 million dollars. So for Ryan Coogler's concept, and Black Panther is a comic book, so it has the legacy of the story being created in comics previously, but this is the first time that life has been breathed into it, such that it is an animated live action um, manifestation of the Black Panther world, and the world of Wakanda, right? So imagine that you were the director who got to take your concept, your love for your culture, and get $200 million to create it with some of the best actors, young, fresh actors there are on the scene right now. And then for you to know that your idea of the greatness that is your culture gets to be played in front of, you hope, millions of people, to implant that idea from your brain and your hands and your blood, sweat, and tears into millions of other people's minds, so that they start to see and envision that as a possibility. That is what that movie is. It's not just, oh, we're watching a cartoon, we're watching a fake movie. No, once people see something, once an idea, a picture is worth 1,000 words. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Everybody knows that. When you look at back in Egyptian times, and they're using hieroglyphics and images and pictures to relay information and to communicate with ancestors, another key theme in the movie, and those types of things. The imagery, the images are Instagram, the success of Instagram, everything about imagery and how it translates from one person's mind to the others, or one person's eyes to the other, and the emotion that it evokes, and the passion and the spurring you to action that it can potentially evoke. That's how powerful movies and imagery is. When you're trying to manifest something in your life, when you're trying to call something into your life, when you want something great for yourself, or you want, more abundance in your life, or you want to go towards a goal, one of the first things you do is you visualize. You visualize as if it's already happened. That's the most important part of manifesting, deciding what you want and then visualizing it, closing your eyes and seeing yourself in the situation, in the place that you want for yourself, and seeing yourself behave as if you already have it, right? And so visualizations, imagery are important and impactful and meaningful to people. And so that's one of the reasons why this movie is not just, it's a movie. It's a movie. No, you need to go see it. Because once you see somebody else's idea of your greatness, it's not far-fetched to see your own idea of greatness, and for other people to see your greatness as well. That's why when you look on the news and you look on the TV, and all you can see is like criminality, or poverty, or struggle, or strife associated with being Black, it's it's detrimental. It's even more detrimental than you can imagine. It's like, oh, okay, whatever, the criminals, or oh, the homelessness, or oh, the struggle, or the single Black mother. All of those imageries and those narratives that are pumped through our television and even through our computer are detrimental, and you need to be hyper aware that that is not the only narrative associated with being Black. Yes, it is a part of the Black experience. Yes, poverty and strife and struggle is a part of every person's existence, but for some reason it's disproportionately associated with being blackness. And this channel has always to tell you it don't go that way. Nothing agussa, nothing agussa. Not every black person is in struggle, right? You know what I mean? Some of us have never seen struggle in our life. You know what I mean? And some of us have been lucky enough to transcend struggle. You know what I mean? So that's what this movie means to me. All right. So I've been ranting on enough. Let's talk about some of the relationships. Let's talk about some of the relationships. Okay, so the main character in Black Panther is T'Challa. So T'Challa is the Black Panther, and his father was killed at the end of the last movie, the last Marvel Comics movie. His father was killed at one of those kind of UN looking meetings. Y'all help me with this because I don't know every single detail, but his father was the king of Wakanda, and Wakanda is a mythical African nation, and they were at the UN, and the father got killed in the crossfire of something else. So T'Challa has to ascend to the throne, and so in order to ascend to the throne, he essentially has to go through a rite of passage. Pause on the play. Pause on the play. Now, you guys know rites of passage. Let's talk about rites of passage as it relates to relationships. This is a topic that I've touched on this channel before with dating, because I said that a lot of men in the Western world, in America, absolutely go through no rites of passage to prove themselves fit to have a wife, to have a woman, and to have a girlfriend. And so here in the US, everybody just thinks that, oh, since you're born with a penis, you should have a wife, and you should have a girlfriend, and you should have a woman catering for you or being in your life. And that is not true for the rest of the world. For the rest of, for a lot, some parts of the world, they're very Western, but other parts of the world, there is a rite of passage for men, right? Meaning you have to own a home. You have to have a car. You have to have a certain level of education, or a certain number of goats, or a certain number of cows, or you have to fight, or you have to wrestle an alligator, or you have to go into the woods for 40 days and 40 nights, or you have to do something to prove yourself a man capable of having a woman in your life. We've talked about that rite of passage here on this channel about dating before, and how the US doesn't really have anything, and how like everyone was like, oh, okay, men should just have women. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily the case. So in this movie, T'Challa has to fight for the throne. So he is the son of the king, and the king was killed. And T'Challa doesn't just ascend to the throne. T'Challa has to get his Black Panther. Okay, I don't want to give too much away, but what I'll say is, if you've seen the movie, you know what he has to do. He's stripped of you know what, and then he has to fight. And people of the other tribes within Wakanda can put people up to fight for the throne, right? And so that was a theme that I thought was really, really good to bring up with you guys, was that rite of passage. But let's talk about the relationship between T'Challa and his father. Now, that was an amazing relationship between father and son in the movie. And T'Challa essentially said, in speaking with his father, and you guys know his father's dead, so there's a way that he gets to speak to his father. And to see him say to his father, Father, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And his father says, stand up. You are a king. Stand up. You are a king. I was like, yes, God. It was like I'm literally tearing up because the movie was just so good. You know what I mean? And he goes to his father. He says, I'm not ready, Father. I'm not ready. And the father says, you are a king. Stand up. Have I not prepared you? Have I not prepared you? And the father says, a father who has not prepared their son for his death is no father. Or he says a quote like that, right? I literally almost had to pull out my phone and write that quote down. I literally almost had to pull out my phone and write that quote down, how powerful that interaction between father and son was in that part of the movie. Oh, I love that part, and I love those scenes. And there was a scene like that in the beginning, and then there was a scene like that in the latter half, where the interaction between father and son. The beginning half was the father breathing life into the son and reassuring him that I have prepared you. I have prepared you. And T'Challa being so grateful to his father for that preparation, and for the father, letting people know the message there is that you must prepare your children for your death, or you are no parent. You are no parent if you have not prepared your children for your death. And I tell you, that's one of the scariest things I can think about, is the death of my parents. It is one of the most terrifying things to me. You know what I mean? And so that moment in the action, the relationship between T'Challa and his father was amazing. In the latter half, where the father had to own up to his mistakes but still guide T'Challa and let him know that you're a man with a good heart, and it's hard for a man with a man with a good heart to be king. He said that at the beginning part, but at the end where he had to say, son, certain decisions have to be made, and not everything is going to be clean cut. You know what I mean? And so not everything is going to be clean cut. So that was another, important lesson between father and son, that father and son relationship within Black Panther. I thought that was powerful, and I enjoyed seeing that interaction on the screen. Chadwick Boseman, yo, his acting, boy, you see him in interviews. If you look at some interviews here on YouTube, you can see he's like a nervous. You can see he resides deep in his emotions. You can see that his life is he is somebody who feels a lot of emotion. You can tell by the way he does interviews, and he's kind of a deep thinker, and I enjoy that about him. And if I didn't see him interviews and see who he truly was, I have to see those to look at his acting of as T'Challa, to see the huge difference between who he really is and who he portrayed. And his acting, boy, whoo, top notch. Okay, so that's the first kind of relationship in Black Panther that I thought was amazing. Let me know what you think about the father and T'Challa in Black Panther in the comments. All right, then we have Michael B. Jordan playing Killmonger. So Killmonger is representing the African American side of things. Now, again, his representation of African American is kind of wrought in what? Poverty and violence. But since the whole movie had a diversity of blackness, I can't be too negative about that. But I want you to understand the point that I'm making, is that a lot of times being black in America has everything is wrapped around this kind of negative experience. Killmonger, they left him. If you haven't seen the movie, you'll figure out how. But those of us who've seen the movie, they left him up in Oakland, and they killed his father. And so that's exactly, that's the Black American experience that we always hear about: fatherless home, poverty, projects, violence, drugs, struggle, strife, anger. That is the narrative that's beaten into our head. Is it true? Is that the only Black American experience? Is it true? Then why are we fed that over and over and over and over and over again? We've got to be careful. His relationships, his relationship, I think, with his father, he had a good relationship with his father. But when you saw him go over to the other side to speak with his father, it wasn't that deep paternal, regal royal relationship that T'Challa had with his father. Killmonger's conversation with his father was more of almost like a friend level to me. It kind of was just like, they were back in kind of that house, that apartment in Oakland, and it was just more. It was not that I've prepared you. You are my son and you are a king. It was more like, Dad, what's up? What we going, so it was kind of this kind of very shallow narrative. And I think it speaks to the Black American experience, where there's not that depth of legacy and that depth of ancestors to draw from, to draw your, life, your passed down life, know-how and knowledge from, potentially. I think that might be that kind of relationship between Killmonger and his dad, which was a little bit more shallow than T'Challa's and his dad, I think that might be speaking to that kind of this truncated relationship that doesn't have a lot of depth, that doesn't have a lot of lineage, because of obviously, you know, the Black American story of coming over from Africa. How that, you know, the learning from the ancestors has kind of been lost in translation. um, Learning from the ancestors, which was a very strong theme in this movie. When I went to Mexico, I don't know if you guys have seen my videos on this channel about Mexico. I got about 3 of them. Mexico City. I went to the Teotihuacan, which are the pyramids, like 25 miles outside of Mexico. Bridget, I don't think it was shallow. Tell me why you don't think it was shallow. We're talking specifically about Killmonger's conversation and relationship with the dad, with his dad. I don't know. I don't know if it's shallow, but I think it was a little shallower than T'Challa's relationship conversation with his father. But let me know. I might have missed something. Um, when I went to Teotihuacan, the tour guide told me that the way civilizations rise was, because I asked him, I was like, how do you know, how does a civilization from nothing, from dust, know who is a king? How does a civilization elect who is a king? Because, you know, civilizations, when they talk about kings, they say it's a birthright. It's a birthright. So I'm like, how is that possible? How can just somebody be born and then they're a king? You know what I mean? And so essentially the tour guide in Mexico City told me that how people knowledge, and he's like, knowledge from the ancestors, and he says it started from, if you could tap into your ancestors and get their knowledge, and they usually did it, he told me, by draining blood. He told me by smoking certain things, by ingesting certain things, hallucinogenic type things. You could tap into an alternative consciousness, which would allow you to communicate with ancestors and would give you knowledge greater than those around you. And then if you did now, and at that time he said it was mainly knowledge of growing crops and food and resources and stuff like that. And if you had that knowledge that you got from your ancestors, then you ascended to kingdom, because they would think that you were closer to godliness. And I thought that was freaking amazing. And I learned, you know, I never heard anything like that. And I learned it in Mexico. But I asked the tour guide the question, and that's the answer that he gave me. And so that was last year, February. And so it's been a year now, almost a year to the day that I was in Mexico, that I saw in this movie them tapping into the wisdom of the ancestors. And I was like, oh my God, so that is a common thing in cultures outside of Western cultures. And so I'm seeing it now representative of Black culture and an African culture. And I saw it a year ago representative of Mexican culture. And so I was like, ah, cool to know. So that was interesting in there. Lupita Nyong'o as Nakia. And oh, I should look in the comments real quick before I go into Nakia, and Danai Gurira as Okoye. Let me look in the comments right quick, because I know you guys were trying to tell me about Killmonger's relationship with his father not being as shallow as T'Challa's relationship with his father. Let me see. All right, let me see what you guys say. Dana from Pennsylvania, what's up? I see you guys have some good comments in here. You guys let me know if it gets fuzzy or anything like that, because I don't want this video to be fuzzy. Okay. Shuri was the best a star made this movie. Right? Doughboy. I don't know how to pronounce it. Bridget says, I don't think it was shallow. Also, to then take all of Killmonger's rage and other symbolic references to train as an ultimate warrior as Black Ops specialist was very indicative of the fear of the oppressor. I love Killmonger until he went crazy, okay? Killmonger ascends the throne and you realize that this man isn't existential threat to Wakanda. He's the epitome of a black man who has been deemed a threat to not just himself but the world. Killmonger lost his father at a very young age, never got to develop full relationship like T'Challa. That is what I feel, Sonobi Wilson. That's exactly how I feel. That's why I um, that's why I say that it's very reminiscent of the Black American experience in that we are not necessarily connected to our ancestors like Africans are. And so his very kind of truncated relationship with his father is symbolic of our truncated relationship with our ancestors. And when I say our, I'm speaking as a Black American. Um, and so that's why Killmonger, his rage is justified in some sense because he didn't get the full. He knows what he was stripped of. He knows what he was stripped of. But as I said earlier in this broadcast, we see that a lot, that rage and that anger and that lack in Black American story and Black American narrative, but it's not the only part of being Black. And that's what I love about this film because it shows the diversity of Blackness. Okay, so let's talk about the ladies. Now, y'all know I should have started this broadcast talking about Nakia and Okoye, because when I tell you that they slayed this entire movie. Like when Nakia Okoye and Black Panther when they saved at the beginning of the movie, and I'm trying not to give away too much, when they saved and they fought and they saved everybody in the very beginning of the movie, I was like, this is the movie for me. Like, this is the movie for me. But let me tell you the second part where I was like, yes, trio, yes, was when they were in Korea and they were in Busan, Korea, and they were actually filming there and they were going into the casino. When I tell you that music was playing in the background and they stepped in there in their red, black, and green, which is reminiscent of the Pan-African flag. I've watched so many reviews of this movie that I know that Nakia's outfit, which was red, Okoye's outfit, which was green, and T'Challa's outfit, which was black, those were symbolic of the Pan-African flag. When they stepped into that casino, I was like, oh my God, kill me now, I could die. Like, they were just everything. They were just everything. And the fight scenes with Danai Gurira, the fight scene, she just slayed everything. She is representative. So let's talk about the relationship between those three. Okoye, Danai is actually from, oh my God, is she from Uganda? No, no, no. I think she's from East Africa. Oh my God. Somebody tell me if you remember where Danai really is from, Okoye. Oh my gosh. Daniel is from Uganda. Danai, I think, is from, I don't know if she's from Kenya or East Africa somewhere. Zimbabwe? I think Danai is from Zimbabwe. And then oh my gosh, Lupita is from Kenya, and Daniel, who played Wakabi, Okoye's husband, and the Judas of the movie. I call him Judas, if you know that biblical reference. He is from Uganda. Okay, and then Shuri is from Guyana in real life. Shuri is Letitia, and Winston Duke, who played M'Baku, is from Tobago, of Trinidad and Tobago. And then, of course, T'Challa is Black American. He's from South Carolina. And Michael B. Jordan, where is he from? Chicago? I don't remember where he's from, but he's Black American as well. So, but I digress. That was just talking about like the Pan-African, the everybody from the diaspora. Lupita, so Danai played the traditionalist, and she was just, her movements in the movie was very choreographed and dance like, and she played the very traditional, very kind of formal, you know, feminine force in the movie. Lupita, who played Nakia was the rebel. She was a rebel. She marched to the beat of her own drum. She did her own thing. She kind of escaped Wakanda and had a calling on her heart and her life that was outside of this utopia that is Wakanda. And she decided to step out and to follow her heart's desire to help people outside. Okoye was stayed within and to fierce protector of Wakanda. And so you would think that two women that were kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of ideology would be at each other's, would be a little bit more at each other's throats. But that was not the case in this movie. What you saw was that they worked together in every instance that they could. Now they did have their little tiffs here and there, you know, just like everybody, but there was such great respect. There was such great respect between these two women, and such great respect between these two women and T'Challa. It was just, and T'Challa and these two women, so not only they respecting him, but him respecting them, it was just good to see and so accurate. So accurate. You know what I mean? I felt like, yeah, that's good to see. And I felt like, yeah, that is a representation of some of the black relationships that I see between women. It's not all housewives of Atlanta, ratchet ass, you know, fighting and cussing each other out and reading each other for filth and all of this and all of that. It's not all that. You know what I mean? It's not all of that. You know what I mean? And I thought, oh my gosh, look at these two powerful powerhouses on opposite ends of the spectrum with great mutual respect for one another, excellence in their own individual rights. And when I tell you sexy from their hair follicles to their toenails, just feminine and gorgeousness. I was just like, yes, I want more of this in my life. I want more of this feast for my eyes. I need more of this on my TV screens and in my real life, in my daily life, and on my movie screens and in my magazines and in my music and in everything. I want more of this. I want more of this when I saw those two women. I think it was powerful to see how African people generally move. And when I say that, I'm talking specifically about T'Challa, who was flanked in that very fight, that very a powerful fight scene in the casino in Busan, South Korea. How it was him and his two closest people that he trusted, actually three or four people that he trusted, were all women. That is very reminiscent of the black familial structure. And I don't want to say reminiscent, very accurate as far as I understand. A lot of times you have only few men and you have a lot of powerful women around. And I think sometimes we've been made to feel bad about that structure in the Western world, as if there's something wrong with that structure. But in actuality, is there's a trueness to it, because that's how African culture is a lot of the time. So to see it on the screen where it's like, oh, T'Challa and Okoye and Nakia and Shuri and the mom, and okay, T'Challa has not Mbaku, Wakabi, but Wakabi kind of turned his back on him. But okay, but here he comes back. You know what I mean? And so just the dynamics between the women that are powerful and the man that they uphold and his power and how he protects them as well. And so that kind of village. So, you know, a lot of times I think it also is reminiscent of parts of African culture where a man who is wealthy has more than one wife, can care for more than one woman, and creates that family of trust around with the women that he can care for. So that's a touchy subject, but it is a part of certain cultures in Africa. And, you know, Africa has like 53 different countries. And so, you know, there and thousands of tribes. So not every tribe, you know, has that. But I thought that those relationships between the two women and T'Challa was interesting, and spoke about a couple different things that we see in African culture that we don't necessarily we can't necessarily put our fingers on as African Americans, so far removed from what true Africanness. Woo, child, let me sip some tea, because when I go on these lives, I be talking too much. I swear, I swear. Uh, in case you're wondering, this is Rihanna's Griselda, and I mean, it's okay. It does come off quite a bit on the cup and stuff like that, and when you eat and stuff, but it's all right. I think it works. Yeah. Okay. So that's those three. Also, um, speaking specifically about Nakia and T'Challa. So you know Nakia and T'Challa have a romantic relationship and they have a long-standing relationship from past. And Okoye says, don't freeze when you see Nakia. And he says, I never freeze. And then what does he do? Freeze as soon as he sees her. And so it's so beautiful to see a, a medium skinned black man freeze and have butterflies in his stomach and have his heart skip a beat and his eyes light up for a dark, rich, deep, melanated sister. Excuse me. It's so rare. In the US, what do you see? In the US and on Western television, what do you see? You see a black man with 90% of the time a fairer skinned black woman, whether she be slightly fairer than him or greatly fairer than him. But most of the time, or white or Asian or something else. But most of the time, you see the imagery that black American men should be seeking fairer skinned, lighter skinned women. And so to look on my television screen and to see chocolate just every which way um, felt good. Um, and it felt good for him to be, have butterflies about a woman that was that beautiful and that deep in complexion. The relationship between Okoye and Wakabi. So Wakabi was the leader, that was Daniel from the movie Get Out. His real name is Daniel Kaluuya. He is the one from Uganda in real life. He's UK from Uganda. He was the one who was wearing the blanket, the I don't know what the real name is, but the throat. And he was that, and he was the one who switched sides, and you know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. And they had a beautiful relationship. Now I did read that they left a lot of their intimate scenes on the cutting room floor, meaning it didn't make it into the movie. But they were married, Okoye and Wakabi. And towards the end of that, you saw a very intense scene between those two where Okoye said, for Wakanda, anything, basically. And I'm taking it out of context. I don't want to tell you too much about the movie if you haven't seen it. And he asked her a question, and then she says, for Wakanda, she basically put the country over her marriage to her husband. And then he relented because he realized that what he was doing wasn't necessarily right. And I saw an interview with Daniel, and he was talking about the position, and it was, some people will put it in the context of, oh, another black woman, being extra strong and extra independent black woman and all of that. But it wasn't that. It was about men being able to reassess a position on something and having no problem in shifting their behavior when they realize that they no longer want to go a certain direction, and how it's okay to be able to do that. And so that's what he said that scene was about. And so it was just interesting to see a husband and wife be so passionate and intense about their causes, again on opposite sides of the spectrum, but be able to come to a mutual respect and a mutual understanding after some war, but at the end they come together. All right, so those two relationships were awesome. And then you see the relationship between oh gosh, what did Forrest Whitaker, who is Zuri, who was a spiritual kind of guide, and the former king of Wakanda, the deceased father. That was an interesting relationship, and what the father did to save the life of Zuri. That was a crazy dynamic between father, brother, and friend, and what transpired between those three. Um, that was interesting. You know, that was interesting, male dynamics there. I don't really know what to say about that, but again, being a king and holding responsibility and being the head of not only the household but being the head of a nation comes with a lot of heavy responsibility. Men, we understand that, and there are decisions to be made that are at times not clean cut. You know what I mean? So I think that was representative of that, and still at the end of the day trying to move in the best direction, the greatest good direction for your family and for your nation is what the former king of Wakanda was trying to do when encountering that situation between his brother and his friend Zuri. So that was interesting male relationship dynamics in that trio, that little storyline as well. Um, then we have Shuri, who is the light. Ryan Coogler, who the director of the film again, mentioned that he wanted Shuri to be the light and the levity in the movie. And yes, God, she brought it. That's Letitia Wright. She's originally from Guyana by way of the UK. And she brought that. She's like, don't frighten me like that. Wait. Don't frighten me like that, colonizer. Like, but I almost fell out my little I almost fell out my damn theater chair. Like it was just everything. She just brought a lot of energy and a lot of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math to it. She was the brains behind the vibranium and all the technological advances of Wakanda, most of them anyway. She's a genius, and she was witty and smart, and again, still feminine and girly and silly and funny and just very deep. A lot of depth in each character, and I really, really appreciated that. The relationship between Shuri and T'Challa, very reminiscent of a brother-sister relationship that anybody could relate to. Not only a black family, but any family could be like, yep, that's how I act with my brother. That's how I act with my little sister. You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, your majesty," and like bending over, and he's like, get your behind up. Stop it. Stop teasing me, and she's laughing at him and stuff like that. And, in parts of the movie where T'Challa goes through his struggle in the movie, and how the emotion comes out of the mother and the emotion comes out of Shuri, and how they have to carry on in the absence of two male figures, that transition in the film, and how they do it with. I think the one thing that, if I had one criticism of the portrayal of women in this film, um, I felt that they were too strong. Okay, I felt that they were too strong. And why I say that is because everybody knows the narrative of the strong black woman. And that, in spite of everything, we are expected to be the strength and the backbone of the familiar structure. And so much so that we have lost some of our femininity. I feel like we've lost some of our femininity because now we're strictly planted in this masculine protector, provider, hustle, grind by any means necessary. I'ma get it too kind of mindset, which strips us of the luxury of being softer and being quieter and more intuitive and more just more feminine. You know what I mean? And I think this movie kind of still played into that narrative that black women are inhumanely, inconceivably strong. When the men in the movie, when their providers and protectors in the movie died, the women cried and you saw a little like, "Ooh," and all thing. But then the next thing was like, we have to go, we have to do this, and we have to go, and we have to make it, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. And yes, there is, Bridget, there's strength and power, but that is not the only narrative to being a black woman. And some black women can't do that, and they can't do it all the time. And to be expected to do that and then to be thought of as less than if you cannot carry that burden on your shoulder is unfair to our femininity. It's unfair. There is a blessing in being a woman, and that's being able to express and to experience all sides of womanness. And for black women, a lot of the time, you're not allowed to express the delicate, soft, introverted, quiet, intuitive side. You are just, no, that's weak. You're only expected to be the strong, powerful, go-getter, most educated, most entrepreneurial, money-making, power woman. You can only be this superhero caricature of a black woman. And if you're not that, then you're weak or something's wrong with you. And that will give you psychological problems. Like you will really think I'm weak, if something's wrong with me because I can't always be this superhuman woman. You know what I mean? So I think it's important for us not to, you know, for us to not see black women as something that is not delicate and soft and deserving of care and nurturing and, you know, tenderness. So I felt like we could have seen a little bit more tenderness from the women in Black Panther. I love their power. I love their sexiness. I did see, some crying from the mother, and what was the mother's name? Ramonda is the mother, played by Angela Bassett, who, I mean, there's just no words for her. And by Shuri, Letitia, we did see some tears. We also saw some tears from Nakia, Lupita Nyong'o, and so we saw some of that. I don't think we saw Denai, who played Okoye. I don't think we saw her cry. I don't know if Dora Milaje are allowed to cry. Those fierce female warriors were just amazing. But I do want to express that at times it's nice to see black women in a more tender light, in terms of not tender as in loving, because we're always shown as loving, but softness, as BK Black Cat says, like a softness that the mother exhibited. And I did see that tenderness in the mother, particularly her relationship between the mom and T'Challa. But when things started to hit the fan, the women were like, boom, we got to get this. And here's the thing, that's the truth. That is how black women operate. It's the truth for the most part. But it's not the only thing. It's not the only thing. And we need to be taken care of as well. You know what I mean? We need to be taken care of as well. So that was my only little thing with the strength and the power and the just the everything of the women. Now I'm not saying that I didn't think they were feminine. I thought they were beautiful and visually looked feminine and everything. But the storyline was like the black women were powerhouses all the way through, just boom 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 boom, kicking down every door. And we don't always have to be the ones kicking down every door. Sometimes we can sit down and the men can kick down some doors and say, after you, my dear. You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with that? And so that's a conversation that I wanted to bring up in terms of the relation, the portrayal of the women. All right. Then there was Mbaku. Oh, he is from Tobago, of Trinidad and Tobago in real life. His name is Winston Duke. Just everything. He came and did his little thing towards the end there, and he was levity in the movie as well. He was funny. When certain people tried to speak up, they started barking and saying, hey, slow your roll, your opinion, you don't force up your opinion here. You know what I mean? You fall back here. You know what I mean? And sometimes, we've all been in those situations where we're just like, why are you pushing your opinion as if you have something to say in this context? You have no idea what's going on. So your best bet is to have a seat and be quiet and stop putting your opinion and criticizing this experience, because you have no idea what you're talking about. We've all seen that and had that feeling, and so to see it on a screen and to see Mbaku's tribe, like, overtaking conversations and, not letting the FBI agent just throw his opinion out there as if he had something to say in that instance. It was funny. It was funny because we've all been on the receiving end of that and, have seen that in real life. He was amazing. And the relationships between him, even there was still even love between him and T'Challa. At the end of the day, M'Baku recognized that Killmonger was not the best king, even though he had ascended to being king at that point. And he did save T'Challa, because he could have done whatever with T'Challa. But he saved them, and but he waited for the women to come and ask for his assistance. He waited for the women to come and ask for his assistance. So I think that was interesting there to show that it's okay, women, to ask for help. It's okay to ask for assistance. And men, it's okay to offer that assistance and to say, he probably should have told him and called him up there when he first found T'Challa, but he, at the end of the day, he did end up saying, well, here you go. You want to save him? I found him. He was, we know what he said. He's half dead or whatever. So that was an interesting dynamic there as well. Um, all right, and then there were a bunch of other characters, including the really funny white guy villain, who was Ulysses Claw, and then there was the other gentleman, Everett K. Ross, who was the FBI agent, and that was Martin Freeman, and they're both English, or they're both from the UK. So there was a lot of UK presence in this movie. Daniel and Letitia are from the UK, and then the two white characters are from the UK. Yeah, from the UK. Yeah, I don't think they're from South Africa. Are from the UK as well. Um, all in all, this movie just was everything. This movie just was everything to me, and I think we did a good rundown of the relationships in the movie. Like, I didn't want to give you guys a regular review of the movie because you already know what I thought. I thought it was the bee's knees, and I think you need to go ahead and see it, because I need to go see it about two more times before it's outside of theaters. But that rundown of the relationships between the different characters I thought was fitting for this channel, because we do dating videos here, we do lifestyle videos, and we do travel videos, and we expand the Black experience, we expand the narrative and the conversation about what it means to be Black. Not only on this channel, but it's one of our main pillars, and I feel like this movie was only fitting for us to discuss, and it was only fitting for us to talk about it in the context of the relationships. I'm gonna jump into the comments because I know you guys have been going ham in them comments, and I haven't read not nearly one of them. I read some of them, but I want to go in the comments now, and then we're gonna jump for the evening. I hope you guys enjoyed our little conversation about Black Panther. Let's see what you guys are talking about in the comments while I was ranting and raving on. Let's see. I don't know if I should go all the way back to the top. Let me see real quick. Let me see. Oh, I gotta look how many comments. Thank you guys for being so vocal tonight. Really, really appreciate it. Okay. Black Panther was better than I thought it would be, and I'm glad it was not just some SJW fantasy and was realistic. I don't know what SJW means. Righto. Airborne Eclipse, thank you. So true about waddling in the struggle. Thel. Keep up the message about how it's possible to thrive and be successful. I'm gonna push this down a little bit. Ooh, okay. There's no progress without struggle. Frederick Douglass. Yes, it's frustrating to think that is all they think of us, and some of us think that way about ourselves regarding struggle, but it's power. Um, yeah, I think it, to me, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you. I think it's more important about what you think of yourself. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Bob Marley. Like, that means that it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you. It is what you think of yourself that matters first and foremost. And that is the reason why I'm saying everything about Black ain't struggle, bruh. You know what I mean? And so it's important for us to recognize that, not to act as if there's no trials and tribulations, because it wouldn't be human to live a life without trials and tribulation. What is joy without pain? You know what I mean? What is happiness without suffering? You know what I mean? And so, of course, we're going to have those ups and downs, but we also just as much trials and tribulations we bring into the conversation about about ourselves, just as much trials and tribulation we bring into the collective consciousness, just about much trials and tribulations we bring into the books that we read and the TV shows that we watch and the movies that we watch. We need to bring glory and joy. just as much, if not more, and envision a world and a place and a time, whether it be in the future, whether it be right now, or whether it be in the past, that was joyous and that was royal and that was regal and that is aspirational and that is the truth. That is the truth. You know what I mean? It's not fantasy. It is the truth. And I think it's important for us to shift our minds sometimes away from the struggle, not ignore it, not pretend that it's not necessary or it's not there, but to be cognizant that you don't want to oversaturate with something because people like to see your suffering. I will say this, it's not only black suffering that people like to see. People like to see suffering, full stop. Look at what's going on right now. Right now. Turn on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. What are we talking about? And what are we watching people do? Pontificate about the suffering of others and whether we should relieve the suffering, do something about the suffering, or justify the suffering. You think it's only us that people enjoy watching suffering of? It's not. People like watching suffering of others, full stop. You know what I mean? And so it's really demented and it's really weird and it's really sick. And I'm saying it that way because it's an awareness that I think it's important for people to have, and it's a point of view that you can agree with or not agree with. You can throw away, but it is something you could also say, what? Let me pay attention, see what what's she talking about? Let me see. Then you start looking and you're like, yo, people like suffering. You know what I mean? And so, as I always say, this is not, I give you guys my opinion about things and I talk about things, but I'm not the expert. I do not have a PhD in psychology. I do not have a PhD in anything. I have a Kells, right, in life, you know what I mean, and a pretty clear opinion about a great deal of things, particularly about what it means to be a black woman. And I'm not going to say that I don't know things. I do know a great deal, but I always stand to learn, and that's why I like these lives, because I can actually talk with you guys and not just push content one way, but actually learn from you guys as well. But yeah, the suffering thing you have to be careful of. Don't find joy in that. Don't try. It's only human on some level because you're always in a state of kind of comparison, and making sure that you're safe and seeing where the attention is and things like that. But people lavish in the suffering of others, particularly in this country. So don't think it's only a black thing. And yeah, there is trials and tribulations and struggle, but that's not the only story. Okay, off that soapbox. What else are you guys saying in here? All right, and we're gonna jump pretty soon. I see a bunch of comments. I really want to read all these. Let me see if I can read them fast. Let's see. Okay. Preparation for our sons as black men is extremely essential. Not easy, but it has to be a will and a fight to get it done. That is your job. That is your job. If you don't have sons, it's still your job to prepare your neighbor's son. It's still your job to prepare your nephew. It's still your job to prepare, the young brother at your job. It's still your job to prepare the next generation and to instill in them knowledge from the ancestors. That's the only way you can progress. The message of rites of passage is a symbolic for why black men or men of color are not and have not been prepared to carry the mantle. Okay. Shuri was the best star of the movie. Black Panther is really a representation of the real relationship that current relationships African Americans have today. Africa is all about the tribal vehicle. When you go to Africa, this is obvious. Yes, everywhere is tribal to some extent or another. What do you think Democrats and Republicans are? What do you think the police forces? What do you think, different universities are, different teams, football teams, basketball teams? Those are all tribes. Those are all modern day Western, loosely tied tribes. Humans are tribal. Humans are tribal and community based by nature, but in Africa, they're tied to culture and longevity of the tribes, which I think is even more powerful than the ready made tribes of sports teams. Anjo Nai Kido, reference Olmecs. Olmecs. Was that the Mexican reference I was talking about earlier when I was talking about Teotihuacan and the learning from the ancestors at the pyramids? DB, Killmonger had an epic quote at the end of that movie. The fight scenes were amazing. The fight scenes were absolutely stellar. And yes, the black women as normal fought fearlessly. That's very normal. It's pretty accurate. You know, it's really, really accurate. It's just amazing women. Okoye's LGBTQ relationship, how they wove this into story levels. So they said, now they were saying that Okoye was married to Wakabi, but I know in the um comic books she was supposed to be like a lesbian or something, but I didn't really see that play out on screen. I love that they were in Korea for part of the movie. Yes, Busan, South Korea. Respect to authority, elders, and uplift another. Absolutely, on Joey. It's important to talk about the Pan-African vibe because Wakanda is the only country that had not suffered from colonialism. Wakanda is real Ethiopia, the only country never occupied in real life. Haile Selassie, Rastafari. We are from a matriarchal background. We are. Um, yes, Killmonger has an epic closing quote. We do freeze that any black woman. I'm freeze. I'll freeze. Sorry, I love my black women. America preference, but it depends. It seems then he personally identifies with slaves as his ancestors and not the ancestors of Wakanda. That's how deep the divisions are between Africans and African Americans. MA, really good point there. I did not pick that up. So he says, bury me at sea with my ancestors. That's true. So he was essentially saying, my ancestors are the ones that were captive and jumped than the Africans. But get this, his ancestors are not the ones that jumped. The ones that jumped never made it to the US, right? His ancestors are the ones that were strong enough to make the transatlantic trip on the bottom of slave ships across the Atlantic Ocean for months at a time, and then to live, to work, to procreate, and to produce additional black people in the United States. So in fact, his ancestors are incredibly strong, stronger potentially than the ones that chose to jump from the ship or the ones that chose to jump before they even got on the ship. So there's a point in that. But I do see the point of him saying that his ancestors are more the slaves than they are, or the captives, than they are the Wakandans. But he's half Wakandan though, cause he had a little tattoo. You know what I mean? If you ain't seen the movie, you getting all the little tidbits. You're getting all the little tidbits. All right, let's see. To me, that was the best monologue in the movie. I married an African woman, and I can tell you, being around her family, I felt white. I felt white as a black man. They do that intentionally too. We divorce now. Pan Africa. And DB, that is speaking to the diversity of blackness. A lot of people think black, you black, you black. No, ain't no black, you black, you black. You could be black Afro Latina, Afro Latino. You could be black from the Caribbean. You could be black from Central South America. You could be black from America. You could be black from all the countries in the massive behemoth continent that is Africa. You know, you can be from any one of those thousands of tribes speaking thousands, excuse me, of languages. You could probably be black from China. You could probably be, you saw the British people, they just found that the oldest skeleton they found in the UK, when they reconstructed it based on DNA analysis, it was a black person with blue eyes. Everybody was up in a roars. But everybody knows that civilization started on that continent. And so there is diversity in that, so it can be hard to date outside of your culture, even though your skin color, like the shallowest thing, is different. I have a video on this channel about dating Africans and how over in the UK it was challenging because Africans want to date you, and then it's like, bro, I'm American, so yes, I'm Caribbean, so I feel sometimes that I do have a culture that is very rooted in Africanness. So I feel like I can relate a little bit better than somebody who's strictly like maybe American, but at the end of the day, I'm still, everything this side of the Atlantic Ocean is Western. With any part of this side of the world, you're still more Western than the African side. And so, it was very difficult to, try to date Africans because the cultures were different and the expectations were totally different as well. And then as an American, yeah, they kind of are looking down on you. They definitely do. You know what I mean? And so, or down on, and it might not be down on you intentionally, but their culture is so deep, and there's so much depth to the culture that you can be you could kind of be overwhelmed by it. You know what I mean? Because you're like, yo, how they eating, what they talking about, what they're doing, what they drinking, what they gotta kill a goat to do what now? You know what I mean? Like it's a totally different culture, and it's strong. It's strong. Different African cultures are very, very strong. And I can compare that to Jamaican culture. It is dominant and it's strong, and it's very, very distinct opinions and understandings of things. So it can be overwhelming and challenging to date inter, interracial, I guess it's racially, like still, or culturally, still black, but like a different culture. Um, all right, so we're getting long now. Just seeing how it made you feel as you light up speaking of it is amazing, Kells. Airborne Eclipse, you need to go see that movie. I'm not gassing you. And maybe see it during the day and not like with the ratchet late night loud talking back to the screen people, but like see it like at a matinee or like earlier in the day where you have like the normal people go to the movies. You'll love it. You'll love it. And dress in black and wear your little kente or something, and then take your picture in front of the poster and then post it online. And post with your Wakanda forever, all this. All right. I love the sister character. That's Shuri. Saw the softness in the mother. Okoye cried at the throne room when she was asked to lead a rebellion against Killmonger. Okay. Dang, I have to see the movie again. I've only seen it once and I saw it a week ago, so I need to see it again. Thanks, Andre. Thank you, MA. So sweet. Hope this is the first of many, Kara. Yeah, I hope that they keep going. SJW, a pejorative acronym for social justice warrior. Let's talk about the politics, the politicalness of being black. I think that blacks are just amazing and strong people cuz. MCU doesn't always follow the source material. Right. King narrative. Yeah, they don't have to, and I think I just think, creative liberty. Creative liberty. Make it work. I still enjoyed the movie. And I, for one, didn't read all the comics, so I can't be like, wait a minute, in comic 53, chapter 1, verse 23, they said Okoye kissed a woman, so technically she's a lesbian. But in this movie, she was married to, M'Baku, so is she, like, I don't think anybody's doing that most. So I think it's okay for them to not only, to sometimes mix up the source material a little bit. Just a little creative liberty, I think, is fine. I could literally prepare a full course curriculum from the film, and I made that for secondary and high school students. I'm no longer teaching undergrads or grad, but might be worth the effort. Create that material and sell that bad boy, because I think people would love that, not only in actual academic facilities, but maybe like in boys and girls clubs, or just speak easy, spoken word type places where they want to talk about something, cerebral, and, the analysis of Black Panther. And if you create something like that, Emma, let me know. Look at them calling out African cultures in the comments. Yes, guys. I hear many people complaining about Killmonger and have not even picked up a comic before. Okay, so King Narrative, tell us a little bit about Killmonger and why people should not be complaining. Hi, Ice Wallow, you're late, but I'm glad that you're here. All right, so the last thing that I'm going to talk about tonight before I jump, and I'm going to try to talk about it really quickly, is that not everyone, I saw it more than once online, that this, excuse me, that this film was described as political. Described as political. And in the comments, Andre, when you explained, and when somebody else said it earlier, SJW, social justice warrior, it reminded me of this concept of being political. Why exactly is a movie about blackness or the black experience in some regard? Because there was some regard, this movie was about the African American versus, or the I don't want to say versus, but, like, you know what I mean, like the African American versus the African experience. So there was that, but then there was all the other relationships and all the other narratives between the individuals, and between the commoners and the throne, and between the women, and between the women and the men, and the men and the women, and the men and the men. Just so many dynamics to this film that showed a lot of depth. It was PG-13, so it wasn't even, rated R, so it wasn't a lot of graphic things going on. It was just all around a well-rounded movie, positioned in a way that a lot of people could see. So why is it that it was described as political? Why does everything having to do with blackness have to be politics or political? I don't necessarily like that. I don't necessarily like that. Why? Do you guys have any opinions on that? It's not political. This story was made in the 60s, 70s with altered arcs within the story. True, but I've seen a lot of people describe this movie as political. Online, I mean. And I'm just like, a story about blackness does not have to be political. It is just about being blackness. I even saw some people talking about they had to go watch this movie and they kept the lights on in the theater. The theater people kept the lights on. The hell? You could sit down in a movie and watch a movie like Black Panther, which is there's a lot of dark scenes in the movie. You could sit down in a movie and they sit down in there and they have the doggone lights on in the theater. Like, what, the boogeyman is supposed to come out? More likely, some crazy, deranged man with an AR-15 come in the movie theater and shoot up the movie theater than anything happened in that movie theater with them black people watching Black Panther, if you want to know the God's honest truth. You know what I mean? So turn out the lights. And I told, and online I was like, report it to corporate. What they got lights on in big time movie? You know what I mean? Like, are you serious? You know what I mean? So, so the political. So I say that to say everything is like, oh, oh my gosh, Black Lives Matter, and oh my God, it's so political. This movie, the movie's not political. It's just about the Black experience and the diversity of it and the relationships. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, why is everything so political? Um, what do you guys think? Kara, I think a lot of people don't want Black people to have power because they are threatened by it. King narrative, but I can see why people believe so because of the timing. So Ryan Coogler, who directed this, said that this was actually filmed when Obama was in office. Yeah, yeah, I think they started filming when Obama was in office. So, movies are all, the timeline is all skewed. So it's not exactly, there's not a lot of immediacy to what you're seeing, but not these long timeline movies. The Tyler Perry little movies, yeah, he could do them in 3 months. But these $200 million movies take years to produce and put together and to film and stuff like that. So yeah, I do see how the timing is. Um, um, there were a lot of people, Andre says, there were a lot of people, primarily in the conservative political spectrum, that attacked the movie without even seeing it. They were the ones deriding it as being SJW, social justice warrior propaganda, which is how they, I guess, they see it, Andre. They attack anything that shows diversity. They act as if any movie that has women in the lead or blacks in the lead roles are being anti-white male. I mean, fragility. Fragility. Why do you need to walk around with an AR semi-automatic weapon unless you're fragile? But that's a story for another day. Um Political, cuz it would have been worse if they cliff hung it and let Killmonger over. DB, I don't know what you're talking about there. We categorize ourselves based on who our oppressors are. All right. So I do these videos typically, so you're not out here alone in this crazy dating world. Tonight was a little bit different because we weren't talking about dating per se, but we were talking about the relationships within the context of Wakanda Forever. Black Panther, which I will go to see again and again, and I really, really expect that you do. I really suggest that you do as well. It's already made over $400 million globally, and we just making it rain in these theaters. I even got a text today from one of my white friends, which of course I have plenty, who was like, he's like, the movie was everything. The only thing that could have made the movie better is if I was black. That's what he said. You know what I mean? And he just hype. The movie was just hype and well done from beginning to end. And also, if you have not seen it yet, stay in the theater after the credits start rolling. In fact, there are two after credit scenes, which I didn't know. I thought there was only one, but there are actually two post credit scenes. So keep your behind, sit tight if you haven't seen the movie yet, or if you've seen it before and you want to see it again, don't miss the end credits now. All right. So BK says, what many seem to forget is that Black Panther and Killmonger are cousins. This is very important. The copper-colored American Aborigines who are indigenous to Americans are cousins to Africans. Yes. The features look extremely similar. America was taken from those people. True. Yes, they are related. So the story of the movie ended Killmonger taking over based on. Oh my God. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. DB, thank you as always. MA, thank you as always. Kara, thank you as always. And you guys, before you go, please, please, please give me a thumbs up for this video. If you're not already subscribed, please do that. And turn your notifications on so you know when I go live. And we will be back hopefully tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Sunday with another topic. Also, please remember to keep writing into itskellscollective at gmail.com with your dating drama, your dating tea, and I will bring it to you guys. I did glimpse in the box and I think I saw a couple emails. So I think we will be doing our tried and true traditional It's Kells Collective reading of emails from you guys for tomorrow or for Sunday. I see you guys are drinking some Merlot. These cups, these It's Kells Collective mugs, they're sold out, but I am going to put up a new merch store. So if you're loving the conversation and you're loving the community, then do think about supporting the movement. All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Wakanda. Whatever it is. Forever. Good night, guys.